What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here, bringing the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. This week I am doing Discord suggestions, so I asked all of y'all on the Discord what decks you'd like to see this week, and I'm going to be bringing you those decks. So, starting off today, our first deck we're going to be covering is going to be Fluffal. Now, Fluffal is a deck that I've covered in the past, although I wouldn't say I'm the most fluent in using Fluffal as an engine. However, this deck is super sick, and there's a lot of super neat synergies that you're able to utilize using cards like the Sinful Spoil cards, like Diabellstar and such, and cards like the Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith more so as a generic thing that you can make, less so as something Fluffal like related. But the main thing I wanted to talk about Fluffal as well as they got some like hits on the ban list actually. The last ban list banned Abyss Dweller and Bahamut Shark, both of which were pretty critical parts to Fluffal's end board. Bahamut Shark into Toad for Fluffal Penguin and Fluffal Dolphin, which are level 4 waters, which is something the deck previously relied on in making its end board. So I wanted to take a look at Fluffal and see what I was able to make. Again, I'm not a Fluffal expert, so this deck is not made by someone who's very adept at using Fluffal, but I gave it my best shot, and here we are. So, starting off our list, let's talk about our Fluffals first and foremost. We're on triple copies of Fluffal Bear, allowing us to pitch it to send a toy vendor directly from our deck to our spell and trap zone. And that's a once per turn. We're also on triple dog. On normal or special, we can add an edge imp or a Fluffal monster from deck to hand except for itself, and that is a hard once per turn. We're on double copies of Pinguino, where Pinguin, during our main phase ignition, we can special summon a Fluffal from our hand except for itself. And it's a once per turn while Penguin's face up on the field, so if we have a way to remove it from the field and then bring it back, we can do it again. And when it's sent from the graveyard as a fusion material for a fusion monster of a Frightfur, we can draw 2 and then pitch a card. Great advantage. And then we're on double Dolphino, allowing us to target a toy vendor in our graveyard, setting it, and then sending a Fluffal or an edge imp from our deck to the graveyard. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a fusion material for a fusion summon, we can target a fusion spell or a poly in our graveyard or banishment and add it right back into our deck. We're also on 1 copy of Sheep and 1 copy of Wings. Wings is here for a way to get draws off our toy vendor, and Sheep is here just for a free extender. We're also on triple copies of the previously mentioned toy vendor, one of the most critical parts of this deck. It reads, once per turn you can discard a card to draw a card, show it to your opponent, and then if it's a Fluffal, you can special summon the card that we drew. Otherwise, if it's not a Fluffal, we have to discard the card that we drew. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, we can add an edge imp or a Fluffal monster from our deck to our hand. That is not a once per turn. So we're going to be trying our absolute best to abuse this mechanic of toy vendor by sending to the graveyard as frequently as possible. For edge imps, we're on triple copies of Edge and Scythe, which is just a quick effect fusion, and also protects our Frightfur as well as in the graveyard. Double copies of Edge Imp Chain. When it declares an attack, we can add another copy of it from our deck to our hand. Not the main effect. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, we can add a Frightfur card from our deck to our hand. Not just spell, not just trap, but any Frightfur card. Though we're only really going to be adding spells and traps off of this. And we're lastly on 1 copy of Edge Imp Sabers, which is just a freebie special summon from the graveyard by putting a card from our hand back on top of our deck. We're on triple copies of Frightfur Patchwork, allowing us to add an edge imp and a poly from our deck to our hand, a very nice +1. Double copies of Polymerization for the aforementioned Frightfur Patchwork. We really need to be playing poly, so we are going to be playing 2 copies of Polymerization for the Patchwork. And then we're on 1 copy of Frightfur Repair, which is a way to recycle our Frightfur fusions from our graveyard, and then special summoning a Fluffal or an edge imp from our graveyard. And then we can banish from our graveyard to special summon a Fluffal or an edge imp from our hand, so really great flexibility for this card right over here. And then 1 copy of Frightfur Fusion, allowing us to fusion summon a Frightfur Fusion monster from our extract by banishing the fusion materials from our field or graveyard. Really great for pushing for OTKs. That's it for our Fluffals. We're playing about 28 cards of Fluffal cards. And then let's talk about our Diabellstar stuff. We're on triple copies of Wanted Seeker of Simple Spoils in order to find the Diabellstar, as well as triple Diabellstar herself. We're also on Azamina, so we're on 1 Hallowed, 1 Deception, and 1 Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, which is just a quick effect fusion. So these cards are really useful. The Sinful Spoils of the White Forest is going to be really useful as well. So if you quick effect fusion summon cards like our Cruel Whale or our Frightfur Tiger. If we wanted to cut some cards in our extra deck, namely like these last 2, which are kind of flex spots, we could also include Guardian Chimera. We're also on Friendsmith, so we're on triple Engraver, 1 Lacrima, 1 Tract, 1 Paradise, and the Lurie. And then for our non-engine. For hand trap specifically, we're on triple Fua, triple Perulia, triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, And then for our non-engine cards, we're on triple copies of Thrust, one copy of Talents, one copy of That Grass Looks Greener. We are playing a 60 card deck, and this does trigger our Toy Vendor, so we're going to be able to get additional searches off of that with our grass, as well as milling stuff like our Fiendsmith Engraver or our Edge Imps is always beneficial. One copy of Card Destruction for the same reason. It also might be just good enough to fuck around with our opponent's hand, screw them up just a little bit, and one copy of Called by the Grave for hand trap mitigation. That's it for our main deck, a nice solid 60 cards. Now let's cover our extra. In our extra, we're on Frightfur's Double Cruel Whale, one Tiger, one Wolf, one Frightfur Sabertooth, and that's it for our Frightfurs. We're on one copy of Moon of the Closed Heaven Fiendsmith, one Requiem, one Sequence, one Desiree, Necroquip, and DDD Wave High King Caesar. For our Azaminas, we're on one Murcielago in order to be able to search our White Forest if we would like to. It also lowers our opponent's attack stats, making it quite difficult to get over our board. One copy of Illisylvia, which is just a negate. And then our flex spots, which is one copy of IP Masquerena and one copy of S. Penis Little Knight. In our side deck, this is going to be completely subjective to your local metagame, so feel free to change this up however you'd like to, however you see fit. This is what I'm playing just for the actual metagame of, the format, which is Malice, Ryseal, Blue Eyes, that sort of deal, Memento. So we're on one D-Barrier, we're on Bestials of Double Rebellion, one Regained, one Magnemite, one Jerusalem, and a Baldrake. We're on triple Lancia and triple Chaos Hunter for Malice specifically, and for when we're going first, we have our Tools of Solemn Judgment, 2 apiece. So that's it for our main side and extra. Now let's go into a couple of games. Alrighty, here we are, game 1 against our opponent. You can see our opening hand is Ash, Sabers, Track, Called by, and Dog. So let's see what we're able to accomplish here. We're going to start off our turn. We're going to go Tracked first thing. We're going to go grab a Lurie, and we're going to pitch that Lurie. We're going to go Lurie effect in order to special it out. And then we're going to go into a Requiem effect. They're going to get ashed. We're going to Call by here in order to retain our Fiendsmith line, even though we are losing out on our own Ash Blossom. But that is a trade-off we're willing to take. We're going to Call by their Ash. We're going to summon Lacrima off of Requiem. Lacrima effect is going to activate, setting an Engraver. We're then going to activate Requiem, target Lacrima, go into a Necroquip Princess. We're going to go Engraver effect in order to special summon it out by putting the Lurie back. They're going to go Dominus Impulse. That is fine. We're going to normal summon Dog. We're going to go Dog effect. Here we're ashing our own Fluffal Dog. Now this seems really stupid at first, right? Like, why would we ash our own Fluffal Dog? Well, we have previously called by their copies of Ash Blossom. So we're actually just cycling this Ash for a different card. Right now, this Ash is just an Upstart Goblin, because at the end of this chain, Necroquip is going to draw us a card because we pitched a card for a monster effect. So our Ash is negated from Called by, of course, so we're going to add a Fluffal Bear, and then Necroquip is going to allow us to draw a card. Off of the draw off of Necroquip rather is going to be a Diabellstar, which is perfect for this situation. So we're going to go Fluffal Bear to get a Toy Vendor. Then we're going to go activate Toy Vendor. We're going to go Toy Vendor effect, pitching Sabers to draw a card. We draw a Purulia, which isn't a hit. We're going to have to discard that, but that's completely fine because we just wanted Sabers in graveyard. We're going to send the Toy Vendor to the graveyard to summon Diabellstar. Toy Vendor is going to trigger. Diabellstar is going to trigger. We're going to set Deception, and then our Toy Vendor is going to be able to add from deck to hand a copy of Fluffal Dog for next turn. Then we're going to be able to go Deception. We're going to go Deception effect, sending our Dog in order to add a Hallowed Azamina. Then we're going to be able to activate said Hallowed Azamina to get an Illisylvia. Illisylvia's on board. We're going to go Sabers, put back the Dog to the top of the deck in order to summon out our Sabers. Then we're going to go for an IP Masquerena. That's going to be the end of our turn. Our opponent has wasted 2 cards out of their hand, and yet we've still been able to end on an IP Masquerena, able to go into an SP Little Knight. A Necroquip Princess, which can steal one of their monsters from their graveyard or give us a draw, and then Illisylvia, which is a negate. Draw for turn is going to be Fluffal Dog, so we do a follow-up, as well as we have Lacrima and Requiem in our graveyard in order to send our Fiendsmith and Paradise to the graveyard to send Desiree for an interaction there, as well as we have Engraver and Graveyard in order for follow-up next turn. So let's see what our opponent is able to accomplish. We're also going to set that Deception of the Sinful Spoils during the end phase of the turn. Lacrima during our opponent's draw step, so they can't activate Tactics. To summon out our Requiem, we're going to imperm our IP. That's valuable enough where we're going to Azamina that. So we're going to negate their imperm, so we keep our IP Masquerena online. They're going to go normal summon Mermail Abyss Pike, pitching Dragoons. We're going to go Requiem, summon Lacrima, and then their Pike is going to resolve, adding them their Abyss Shrine. They're going to go Chainlink 1 Goons, we're going to go Chainlink 2 Lacrima, Chainlink 3 Necroquip in order to draw a card, giving us Fright for Fusion, and then sending a Fiendsmith in Paradise to the graveyard. And then there is Shadow Squad. We're going to go IP Masquerena at point of resolution to go into an SP Little Knight, and SP is going to banish their Abyss Pike so they don't have anything on board like that they can really use material, since they did use their normal summon for Abyss Pike. We're going to go Abyss Shrine in order to summon the Super Ancient Deep Sea King Koakalin, as well as being able to trigger their Shadow Squad. We're going to go Paradise here. We're going to send our Desiree to the graveyard, and then they're going to summon their Neptibus. We're going to go Desiree effect, send to the graveyard their Super Ancient Deep Sea King. We're going to go Neptibus effect, sending Goons, adding Goons. And then here they're going to be able to go Goons effect in order to add Sea Serpent, adding Poseidra the Storming Atlantean. Poseidra the Storming Atlantean is going to special summon itself. Neptibus is going to special summon a card from the graveyard. Poseidra is going to send a Shadow Infantry in order to pop our SP. We're going to tag out with SP, removing their Poseidra, and they get just going to end on a Goons. They pop our Necroquip. They're going to go Pot of Prosperity for, looks like 6. And they're going to add a Neptibus for next turn. And our opponent is going to surrender, realizing they haven't ended on anything. They're going to do 900 damage to us. We draw a dog for turn next turn. And that's a wrap. So let's move on to game number 2. Alrighty, here we are in game 2. You see we've opened quite a good going second hand. Perulia, Foolos, Fluffal Penguin, Fiendsmith Engraver, and Thrust. So let's see what our opponent is able to set up on the draw. During the draw phase, we're going to both Perulia and Foolos them in order to prevent them from really doing much. They're going to normal summon Neptibus. They're going to Neptibus effect, send Dragoons, add Dragoons. And then they're going to be able to go Goons effect in order to add a Minstrel to rip a card out of our hand. They're then going to go Minstrel effect, sending Goons to rip the Fiendsmith Engraver, which I think is personally is an incorrect rip, because whatever you're ripping off of Minstrel is a card that you want them to keep in hand, or it's a hand trap. So what they're saying is they want us to keep the Engraver, which is quite a strange thing to be saying, to be completely honest. They're going to go Goons to add a Heavy Infantry. And then here they're going to go Abyss Shrine in order to add Poseidra the Storming Atlantean. They're going to go Neptibus in order to bring back their Goons from the graveyard. Poseidra in order to tribute the Goons to summon itself out. Goons again to add Moon Glacia, which they can use here, as they do have 5 waters in graveyard. We're going to summon Moon Glacia. We get to draw a Toy Vendor. Moon Glacia is going to rip 2, ripping Penguin and Dog, which is completely fine. During the end phase of the turn, we get our Fiendsmith Engraver back, and we get to draw for turn, drawing Simple Spoils of the White Forest, which isn't really a great draw at this junction. So we're going to be able to go Engraver effect at the start of the turn to add a track. They do know of the Engraver, so might as well start off with it. We're going to go track to add Lurie, and then pitch said Lurie. Lurie effect is going to trigger in the graveyard, summoning itself right back out. They're going to go Abyss Shrine to draw a discard. They're going to go Heavy Infantry pop, and now we can go Toy Vendor without any fear. We're going to go Toy Vendor, pitch Simple Spoils of the White Forest, and then we draw a Patrick off of it, which is completely fine. We're going to go Thrust because they did activate a monster effect, being the Abyss Shrine and the Heavy Infantry, in order to add That Grass Looks Greener from our deck to our hand. Our opponent has 32, we have 47. Once we activate this grass, we're going to be milling 15 cards. So hopefully we can mill something really, really fantastic. We're going to go grass, we're going to mill 15. Here we're going to be able to trigger a Toy Vendor that we did mill in order to add a Fluffal Dog from our deck to our hand, and we have not normal summoned quite yet. We're going to go Wings effect in graveyard in order to send the Toy Vendor to the graveyard and banishing a dog in order to draw 2. Then go Toy Vendor in order to add a Fluffal Penguin from deck to hand. And then we're going to be able to go Bear to set another Toy Vendor because we do have a Diabell Star in hand now. We're going to go Toy Vendor effect. Toy Vendor, we're going to Diabell Star special summon, Toy Vendor effect in graveyard, and then Diabell Star to set Wanted because we did mill our Deception, unfortunately. We're going to add a Fluffal Dolphin from deck to hand. We're going to go Wanted effect here in order to add a card back. We're then going to go Fluffal Penguin and then Fluffal Dog in order to add another Fluffal Bear, even though we can't use it. Then we're going to go Sabers in order to put the Fluffal Bear back, go into a Moon of the Closed Heaven, go into a Requiem, and we get to Fiendsmith combo anyway. Lacrima effect, sending another copy of Engraver effect, in order to bring itself right back out. And now let's go Requiem effect, Engraver to send their Amoonglossia so they cannot attack next turn anymore. We go into a sequence, we go sequence effect to fuse, we go into a Desiree. And then here our opponent is going to surrender because we're going to be able to set up whatever board we really want, and they can do absolutely nothing to stop it. But that is a best case scenario, to be completely fair. I don't think that's going to happen every single game with this strategy, but I do like this strategy quite a bit. But that's me about the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching, if you still are. Thank you to my member. Thank you, Ari. If you want to become a member, please stay tuned to the end of all my videos where I go over all the details on and benefits of becoming a member. But just watching the videos is enough to support me. So again, thank you all so much for watching, if you still are, and I'll be seeing you all later. Bye-bye. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you wanted to talk to more Yu-Gi-Oh players like yourself, I would highly recommend checking out our Discord server. Link is going to be in the description, as well as the QR code on screen. We do talk somewhat frequently about Yu-Gi-Oh and the current meta, so I would really enjoy to see you there. As well as we do recently now have channel memberships available on our YouTube channel, where we have 3 different tiers. We have Super Supporter at $2 a month, where you get loyalty badges, emojis, guaranteed comment responses, a shout out at the end of every video, as well as access to the members only Discord channel, where you get early sneak peeks at future videos. There is the Giga Supporter at $5 a month, where you have early access to all new videos about a day or two before they go up, as well as all the previous offers. And for $15 a month, we do have our final tier, which is going to be Femboy Fanatic. You get a guaranteed customized video every single month, as well as 1 hour of my time. Could be for anything you'd like. You want a duel? Absolutely. You want me to help build a deck? Absolutely. You want to play some Helldivers? Sure. I'll do anything for an hour once a month. But supporting does help me out quite a lot, and it does help me produce all of these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing y'all later. Bye-bye.